TIR Success Stories. Traumatic Incident Reduction, TIR, a technique for quickly and permanently eliminating the unwanted effects of past negative experiences and for enhancing and developing abilities and happiness in life. The following are just a few of thousands of TIR success stories.
Afterwards, one of the things I noticed that was most interesting to me was that ambulance sirens, before I had started TIR, ambulance sirens would trigger a very strong emotional response. I mean, I'd actually shake all over physically. And after the TIR sessions, ambulances didn't bother me anymore. And I was able to go back to living a somewhat normal life. My son was still gone, but it wasn't, there wasn't the grief and the emotion attached to that.
And I was actually quite frightened because I had to examine my own life, my own mind, my own feelings. And I discovered I was actually very angry and sometimes depressed and sometimes despondent. And viewing, I have not only let a lot of my anger triggers just go flat, I've also learned to take more responsibility for how I am in the world as well as who I am in the world.
Well, I found myself, when I was studying for my exams, my final year, I found I was having difficulty studying. I was like getting prepared for everything but studying, making sure I meditated, exercised and everything, not studying. So in the back of this book, there was a resource section, and I found facilitating TIR, looked it up, and booked an appointment, got it, and I went from thinking I would fail my exams to getting prizes. Absolutely phenomenal. And the things that I dealt with they're just done. Haven't had any problems with them since.
And I've never seen in 20 minutes the kind of gain that I saw in a client like that before. And that's what made me a believer, because she came in irritated, almost angry with me. And when she left, she's like, I'm so glad I came. You know, she's happy, you know, she's smiling. And I just couldn't believe the difference between the two in the course of 20-25 minutes. Amazed me.
Certainly I had some pretty frightening experiences when I was young, and very powerful ones. And what I found with the TIR was that in going through them, I became more aware of myself, my own experience at the time. I became more sympathetic with myself, but in a compassionate sense, not in a victim sense, and more compassionate with the people around me who were creating the problems. That suddenly I could see them with a much more human eye, a much more adult, compassionate eye. And in the healing, I learned a lot of lessons that just came to me at that time. It's as if the experience and the fear associated and the anger associated had blinded me to some very important truths that were embedded at the time, or the possibility of understanding them was there at the time. But until I'd resolved the emotion, I couldn't really look at the situation in a compassionate manner, an appropriately compassionate manner.
I have someone who said after they did sessions with me, they had been in such distress before that over a breakup, and they couldn't stop crying, and somebody said, look, you need to get sessions, try this out. And after the first session, we did, I think it was TIR, we did the TIR technique. And after the first session, the next day, they told me that people were like, oh my God, do you have a new boyfriend? You're just so different. So that was just amazing, first session. And right now, it's been some time later, she has a new boyfriend, and she's telling everybody that this because of this work.
even just the other day, I had a new realization of something that I wasn't necessarily aware of until I looked at the title of a book. So I'm aware of another issue that I would like to address, and I'm looking forward to addressing it. Now, I said I'm looking forward to addressing it. 3 years ago, I was afraid to look at that. But I know it will benefit me, and it will make myself happy, my relationship a happier one, and hopefully I'll be happier around other people. And I think I always want to be causing happiness rather than the destruction that took me to TIR in the first place.
Yes, I can talk about a young woman who was sexually assaulted and raped, and she was a student at the time. She was quite cheerful and innocent and expected good things when the incident occurred, and completely blackened her life at that point, and so she couldn't complete her schooling. And she came to see me because her parents had heard about me, and we discussed it for one appointment, so I get to know her a little bit. And she came in for one more appointment, and it probably took about 2 hours. We stayed with that appointment, and she ran through the incident and got to a place where she felt very comfortable, and then called me up later. She had decided to go back in the city. She'd driven in, walked around, she'd gone to the place where the incident had happened, and she felt fine. And she was able just to go with the new knowledge she'd acquired from having had that occur, but without all the baggage that would be associated, that would keep her afraid and unable to complete her education.